I go to a beach where there's a lifeguard, and it's a joke, right? Because I get they go home at 6, right? That's usually when I like to go in the water. There's no lifeguard needed where I surf because surfers don't require getting saved. I've never seen the lifeguard in 20-something years of surfing at my beach go into the water. The lifeguard at my beach just sits there and soaks up rays, uses the binoculars, and scopes the chicks in the next beach. I mean, what was he going to do, right? Surfers, so I'm around people who know how to swim. We take it for granted. But seriously, I've never met any Americans that don't know how to swim. I don't even know any.
I do.
Do they live in L.A.?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Okay, I have a question. If anybody's watching this who knows me as a friend of mine, get back to me if you know anybody in America who doesn't know how to swim. Okay, that's number one. Number two is the riptide is a little different. So I'm going to give her benefit of the doubt on that one. I'll explain why. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
I can swim.
Mm-hmm.
No problem, right? But I'm going to get a little nervous in a riptide because there's some powerful riptides. This last weekend, the waves are phenomenal. I don't know if you know how big they are. But we had a monster storm that came up from New Zealand, Tahiti.
Mm-hmm.
It was bringing 50-foot waves to Tahiti.
Mm-hmm.
50-foot waves to Tahiti. It just came up to California this weekend. Was making humongous waves in Newport. My beach, no way I'm going to go. Because the waves were going up to 10 feet high, right? It's too big for me. The waves were coming up the whole coast. They were big, right? People were saying, don't go in the water unless you're an expert because there's a riptide. And a riptide on a day like that can pick you up and take you out to sea. You know, unless you know what you're doing, right? So even if she's a swimmer, a riptide is a dangerous situation. And that's when lifeguards have to make saves, is on a riptide day because, you know, especially if a person had a beer or two, right? And they're like a little bit like, you know, they don't care. They just get swept. So I would give her a little bit of benefit of the doubt. The last thing I want to say is you were talking about putting a, what do you call it, parapet?
Parapet around your roof.
I don't even know what that is. But how do you feel, and I'm serious, about putting one around a bed, like if you bring home one of these women, if you marry a woman, let's say, who's like really wild in the bed, aren't you like a little bit afraid that like the two of you might fall off or something?
No, because it's only a couple of feet. So if you fall to the floor, it's only a couple of feet. Falling off the roof, it's going to be 10, 20, 30 feet.
But what if you have like one of those high lofts?
Well, I think that like married sex tends to be sedate anyway.
And of course you know that because you spent so much time watching married people do it.
No, because I've been in relationships, and like usually after 3 months, the sex is like half as intense as it was after 2 weeks. So it steadily gets less intense.
What's the longest you've ever had a relationship with a woman?
About 15 to 18 months.
Okay.
Like I remember, yeah, that relationship. Like I got tired of having sex after like 6 months. We just played chess for the last 6 months. The relationship, because like the sex life was dead.
Oh boy.
So how important a quality in a potential spouse is virginity? I guess I'm a modern and I don't think I care much, but the prospect of a virgin is appealing to me. Because for one thing, it means there will be no invidious comparisons. Like, I've had girlfriends tell me, oh, you know, my previous boyfriend, he was so big, you know, it kind of limited the things we could do. You know, and I appreciate that you're much more, you know, moderately sized. Like, I don't like to have that in my head. Like, you know, I've had girlfriends tell me about how their previous boyfriend was so big. Like, probably had half a dozen girlfriends tell me that. Or she'd go, oh, you know, with Michael we had such a crazy sex life. And like, I know Michael, and it's like, I don't want to hear that.
Okay.
So most societies through most of human history have valued virginity. I think I'd rather have a wife that's not had a lot of dick. I feel like every time a woman has a lover, it diminishes her.
Boom. We already discussed all that.
We already discussed that.
But so I want to just say that you just gave a case in point that goes back to what I said earlier. It's context, not number. And I'll give you what you just mentioned. Mm-hmm. You said you don't want to hear that Michael has wild sex, or you don't want to know your friend's penis size.
Yeah.
So it's not how many guys she had, it's, do I know the guy?
Yeah.
Right? If she had one guy, but it was you, right? I don't know that I want her, because I don't want to hear...
Because she's been with a heretic?
No, I don't want to hear...
Oh, Luke was such a magical lover.
I don't want to hear.
Oh, I appreciated being with someone so big after Luke.
Yeah, I don't want to hear the size of your manhood either way. I don't want to hear, oh, it's good to have somebody with a real cock. And I don't want to hear the other way around of, oh, you call that a cock? I was with Levi. I don't want to hear about Levi's genitals. Right? I hear enough about them during Torah talks.
Just because the camera's
hear...
on. Now you say this, but folks, as soon as the camera's off, like that's all he wants to talk about.
Okay. So that's, and I don't want to hear like, oh, Levi used to slap
That's
me.
right in front of the...
Oh, I'm sorry. Levi used to, butt slap me.
He was so creative.
Oh my God,
We used to swing from the chandelier.
He had this high loft and he built a parapet around it. Okay, go ahead.
Torah wants to make it hard to make accusations against your spouse. For instance, if you accuse her of being in a situation where she might have committed adultery, like there's this ritual where she has to kind of drink some dusty water in front of a priest, and if she doesn't die, if her belly doesn't swell up, then she's free from the accusations of adultery.
True.
This week's Torah portion, if the woman and her family can show a bloody sheet, some evidence, physical evidence that she was a virgin on her wedding night, then you're stuck with her for life. And so the Torah doesn't want to make it easy for you to make accusations against your spouse. Torah basically wants to create like a peaceful environment, like shalom bayit, peace in the home. That's a huge Jewish value to this day. Like, in the more traditional, the more stress there is. And this is the way real Judaism operates. It's not just like theory and text. This is the way real Judaism operates. The more seriously someone takes Torah, the more they value peace in the home. So you don't want to be like making public accusations against your spouse. It's not the Jewish thing to do. So now I'm going to sing a song by Supertramp.
No, you're not, because they're going to kill it. They're going to kill the show right here. You're going to go through that whole thing?
Okay. If a woman is getting attacked, she needs to cry out loudly. Like a little whimper won't do it. Like, you can't just go, no, stop that, don't. You have to scream it at the top of your lungs, otherwise you seem complicit in what's going on, and it's not like you're not really getting raped. So many men use the pickup line, scream and I'll kill you. This is not a Torah approach to dating. You can't get it on with someone who's been with your father. A man whose reproductive organs have been severely damaged so that he is impotent may not marry unless this injury came through natural means. So why does God hate men who have crushed testicles or a severed phallus and won't let them enter his congregation?
I don't know that he hates them. It's that they're not allowed to... There's two things they're not allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's... this is an interesting topic, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's two things they're not allowed to do. They're not allowed to marry, and they're not allowed to eat... what's that word I want? Somebody help me out. What do the Kohanim eat? I'm having a mind blank here.
Special food that's set aside for them.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't think of it. But, okay. So there's two things they're not allowed to do, right? Mm-hmm. So they're not allowed to get married, which seems pretty harsh, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the 613 mitzvahs that was given is that you're not allowed to intentionally...
sever your phallus.
Do something...
You probably can't put... What is it when people put something in their phallus? They put like a ring or something. You're not really supposed to do that.
Do you have a ring on yours?
No.
Okay.
Because the Torah says not to.
Okay, well, actually, what the Torah is talking about is somebody who does something to make themselves... Okay, this is really complicated. It's to make yourself sterile, right? Mm-hmm. By doing something to either the balls or the penis.
Right.
To make yourself sterile is one of the 613 that you're not allowed to do. This is why I never got a vasectomy. Because if not for that, I would have had a vasectomy for sure. Because when I got engaged, the first thing I wanted to do was get a vasectomy. Right?
Did you ever think about severing your phallus or crushing your testicles?
No, I thought about crushing yours. And so we called the Rav. And the same Rav, who's one of the Gedolei Ador, who told me that I'm allowed to masturbate, told me I shouldn't masturbate, he told me I can marry a woman who can't have kids or doesn't want kids, said he cannot give a heter to get a vasectomy because it's too close. Perhaps it's part of this problem of mangling the male organs in order to make them sterile, this would go against